Hey there, welcome back to some Remnant. Our build today is a high-tech archer. It's a range build, ranged shield build that is obviously using a bow. Overall, I mean, gameplay-wise, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of like high technicality going on. Like, as long as you can get some consistent like power shots with your bow shots, you're gonna do plenty of damage, and you're gonna be generating shields, so you get various bonuses and survivability from that. We're also using the technician or the engineer because it's, you know, a high-tech thing. With that Naruto DLC coming out here pretty soon, I'm just kind of leaning heavy into a Naruto-themed setup, right? And I mean, you can kind of see it. Like, this is all you have to do. And with the engineer, you can kind of just pick and choose whatever turret is going to do the job for you. I do really like the, I like this impact one because it does hit AoEs. It's fun to just kind of sit back and shoot arrows down range. And then anybody who comes in here trying to get me, they have to contend with that thing exploding, right? And with some of the combinations of our rings and stuff, it never like runs out of ammo. So it's just constant extra damage. Is it better than the other two? Again, it's scenario dependent. But the overall setup is pretty straightforward. Again, I'm also like, you know, I'm focusing really heavy like Naruto theme. So it's not 100% optimized or anything like that, but it functions, and obviously there's room for you to adjust and modify it to make it more optimized. Open yourself up to the full catalog of items, whatever you need to do, or just look at what you have, because you may not have everything, but there's options because you have general ideas you need to fulfill. So we'll show you the specific loadout here in just a second. All right, so as we go through it, gameplay that you're seeing, and I'm going to fight the boss here and stuff, is going to be on Apocalypse. So you get to see how it's doing there. You know, it's just going to be better at your lower difficulties, etc. All that, you know, standard jargon. Starting from the top, we're doing Hunter as our primary, Engineers are secondary. And I kind of did it that way. The range is like my primary focus of like damage, and getting that like ability to keep stacking up our skill and refreshing the duration is really what I wanted. So that's why I chose Hunter first. And I like the idea of the stealth thing, like a camo light high-tech idea, right? So I went with the Hunter Shroud. You could totally go with whatever's going to work, though. I don't find the Hunter's Focus, I don't really like that one a whole lot with the bow. It's so Hunter's Mark or Hunter Shroud is going to be better. Some of the timing with the Shroud and our like increased charge speed with our bow is a little weird, so you have to kind of like wait a half second, but yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Engineer, it's high tech. We're going with Engineer, Naruto theme. Engineer is just a solid archetype as well. The turrets can do you a ton of work. As you could see earlier, we're getting swarmed. The impact one is just laying down dudes. If you got to be sitting, you know, shooting down range with the Vulcan, the flamethrower, whatever it happens to be, you just adjust for the scenario that you're in, right? And I mean, you might be thinking like, well, you're a range build. Why don't you go like Gunslinger? Well, because that's old and done, boring, right? Engineer also benefits your range damage as well, right? With your magnetic field, or not the magnetic field one, but there's the metal worker damage perk, right? That primary one, skill damage 50%, range damage by 25%, and you get skill and ranged critical chance. So like, it works with us, right? But that magnetic field also is defensive options for us too, because we put down the turret, we stay by it, we're getting damage reduction, we're gradually getting ammo back, so like it helps us out on multiple fronts. And plus, using a relic, and if our thing is like fully up on ammo with our turret, it's going to drop ammo for us, so then we're just really never worried about ammo, which is why I'm also never worried about my secondary weapon, right? The armor, I've got technician with the navigator helmet. I am at a medium roll because I have some stuff in strong bag, and then with points in fortify because we are the engineer. Our total damage reduction is 49.8. Again, Apocalypse, that's not like mind-blowing, it's not amazing. We're going to take a lot of damage, but because we're doing shields, that kind of buffers us a bit, right? It's effectively giving us more HP, which is more survivability at the end of the day because we can take more hits, right? The relic is the shielded heart because it gives us shields. Yeah, 100% of HP, 20 seconds. I've got range crit chance in there, extra health, and crit damage. You could make an argument for increased shield amounts as well if you didn't really want the health one, right? Because if you do the shield amount, the actual shield value that you're getting is higher. However, with the health, if you don't have a shield, it means you have more health to trade with, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So like they're kind of the same, they're very similar, but it's a little subtly different. If you have both of them on there, I mean, it's just overall way more survivability. But I wanted a little bit more damage, so I went with a crit chance and crit damage, especially because we've got a lot of crit chance stuff going on with our overall setup, right? Going into some of the more interesting things, the amulet and the rings. Since this is shield build, there's really two main options for our shield ones. You've got the energy diverter, which is our choice here, 10% increased crit chance and 15% more damage whenever we have a shield, which is going to be pretty much all the time. Every shot is giving us a shield. You could go difference engine, which gives you 20% more damage, but you don't get that crit chance. You're instead getting lifesteal. It depends on what you got, depends on what you like, right? I don't need this one so much because I'm not looking for lifesteal. I'm trying not to take damage anyways, and I've got regen going on with my ring, so depending on what you've got. Closed loop. This is our primary shield generator. 5% of your max HP whenever as a shield for 10 seconds. Whenever you do a charge shot, it disappears after 10 seconds. It can go up to 25%, so it goes up a lot. So when you do that with the bow, you don't actually have to do a perfect shot. Like, yes, a perfect shot does it, but as long as you fully draw the bow, that's going to give you a shield. If you just do quick little taps like that, not going to work, right? Which we're going for perfect shots for 99% of the time anyway, so it's always giving us a shield. Every shot we do, giving us a shield, giving us the bonuses. And you should know that that bonus does happen with a shot. So like right now we have no shield. When we fire this one off, that damage bonus that we're getting from the amulet is applying to that shot because we're getting the shield as we shoot. So it actually is giving that damage bonus every single shot as long as we get the charged one. Another option you could do, and in a way I'd say is better, is the tightly wound coil. This one, you spend 75% or more of your magazine, you get 15% shield for 5 seconds. It doesn't stack with itself, which is kind of a bummer. Pros and cons between the two because they're very similar. Our bow is always going to give us shields if we use this, which is great, and it's 15%, right? This other one, yes, it can stack up higher to 25%, but if you're getting hit a lot and people are like breaking your shields consistently before you can actually reach that 25%, in a way, getting this is better because you're getting more right away. But you should also keep in mind this only lasts for 5 seconds, where the closed loop is 10 seconds. So there is a difference in timing as well. I was actually running bows for a while, which is just way more survivability. Every single shot is at minimum putting me at 20% shielding, which is essentially 20% more health. Like 172 health, 20% more of that. I mean, it's a good amount. I'm not doing the math right now, but you know, it's sizable. And then if you have both of them and you're not immediately getting hit, you start stacking up the closed loop one, you're going to end up with 40% more health. So almost a full 50% increase, which is nice. The next one I'm going with, though, because I am leaning more damage right now, Atari Booster. Your heavy weapons are going to deal more damage, and they have a 10% increased crit chance, both carry and turret mode. This is nice because your turrets are going to do a lot of damage for you. Yes, like a big focus is simply our bow thing, but with our turrets doing a good chunk of damage, 10% more and 10% crit chance is going to add up. It's going to help. And this shield bonus here, where it increases all your damage dealt and that crit chance, is applying to your turret as well. So it's just all stacking in on top of each other, making things a lot better. I do really like it. But again, if you don't want that extra damage, go more defensive, go more with like, you know, that tightly wound coil or something else that's going to give you some other health regeneration, Ring of Crisis, which is a kind of like, oh crap kind of thing, something like that, right? Ring of Ordnance is fantastic. It allows your weapon, your heavy ammo, turret stuff to just automatically regenerate while it's out and doubles that rate whenever it's stowed away. So it's a kind of subtle thing, right? Because it's like utility, and so it's like it doesn't actually add damage, but at the same time, because it's allowing your turret to stay on the field longer, it means it's doing damage more, right? It's doing more damage over the course of a long fight. So a little fight might not mean anything, but once like engagement goes over a certain threshold where your turret would run out of ammo and go away, it's still going to be on the field because of the Ring of Ordnance, which means you're still doing damage. So you're going to start edging into doing more damage. And then even when it goes away, it regenerates faster, which means it's going to go back on the field better. So an overall kind of like higher amount of damage over the course of a long fight, right? Why I chose it. Generating Band. Regenerate health per second while you have a shield active. Clean, simple, straightforward. We don't have any direct other healing, right? Even our relic doesn't actually heal us. It's just a big shield, right? So having this is pretty necessary. If you really didn't want that one, I would say swap this into some kind of relic that's actually going to heal you, and then maybe trade this out for maybe more shields, more damage, whatever kind of floats your boat and you feel like you need to do, right? That at the end of the day, the core idea that you need to be doing here is using a bow with either closed loop, tightly wound coil, something that's generating shields, and then the amulet that's going to give you damage bonuses for having a shield. Speaking of bow, Royal Hunting Bow, which isn't actually a Narud thing, but there are no Narud bows. In this one, you can trade out the relic, which is why I chose it. You put in a Narud mod. Cool, right? Boar, I'm not a big fan of it. I actually don't like a lot of mods on the bows. They just feel clunky. But this can give you some more crit chance stuff, right? When you get on a weak spot, extra 15% crit chance when attacking that drill. Supercharger increases the charge speed. Very nice. And at level 10, those charged primary shots of your bows and fusion rifles, another 15% crit chance. So we've got a lot of crit chance going on here between this, that, this, and then the supercharger here, right? It's a lot. It ends up stacking up, and our skill with the Hunter Shroud, right? Past that, your other two weapon options don't really matter. Spectral Blade is my choice right here, simply because the Whirlwind effect is really strong. It's a really cool weapon, and it's got shielded strike in there because, of course, it does stuff with shields. Secondary weapon, handgun, is a sure shot. I did that because of like me doing stuff with like the tightly wound coil, so using all my magazine. So this would proc it right away since it's a single shot weapon. Overflow increases that reload speed, so we can get more bullets out quickly. Lively does some stuff with that as well. So like overall, it's okay, right? Traits, there's nothing that you like need for this. I'm playing on Apocalypse, so I've got a lot of like kind of defensive choices here, like maxing out my vigor, maxing out triage, so that regeneration here is even better, right? I did put points into strong back. I got 7 points, I think it was, so that my weight threshold was a medium, so that I don't have as much of a stamina cost. And then, you know, I did some points in endurance and recovery because that's what I really like. Some things I would like kind of recommend for the setup. Glutton I like because my relic isn't actually healing me, right? It's just a shield to buffer me. Being able to make sure I get that out quickly is just nice. It's nice regardless of what your relic is. But maybe more so important than that is amplitude in a way, because with your impact cannon, that's affected by amplitude, so it ends up hitting like a huge radius. And then with the Hunter's Shroud, when it applies at Mark II enemies for around 15 meters, it's 15 meters because I have amplitude, so that's also affecting it there, as well as like some of the other effects in there too, though I don't actually think it affects the magnetic field, which is kind of unfortunate. That would be nice, so you don't have to be right on top of your turret, right? But really past that, nothing else is like super necessary. I find, you know, having longer skill durations for that is nice. Other things like that are just kind of cool, but not like necessary, right? But setup is fun. I enjoy it. The cool thing with it too, right? If you do the carry, right? If you carry out like your impact cannon, each shot of this is a charge shot. So you can see we're getting a shield. So you can use that with the closed loop and then still be getting that like charge shot for shield. So that could be a way to do a heavy carry shield build, which is a lot of fun too. If you don't have that, something else you could do instead would maybe be to like run like the ring that's going to give you shields for spinning stamina, and then with your heavy carry you just dodge every now and then, and that's just going to be generating shields, and so it works out nicely for you. And I mean, what you're seeing here, that's pretty much the gameplay, dude. Like, it's simple. The better you can be at your perfect shots, the more damage you're going to do, the cleaner and faster the fights are going to be. You can rely on the turret to just like cover you as far as like finishing off enemies, engaging, or taking care of things that you're not directly targeting, right? And it's like, oh no, look, I spent a lot of arrows there because I wasn't doing great shots. I used one little relic thing and plop, there's some ammo, because my ammo on my turret was full, right? I should be able to pick that one too, but like glitch where I can't get it. Another thing you can do too is kind of fun. There's some other ideas I'm going to do with it. I'll mention them here before I do like a full build, right? But my bow is not maxed on ammo, right? When you're standing close to your turret or carrying it, it's going to regenerate ammo. So while you carry this thing, one, it's going to be regenerating its own ammo charges, but also it's going to be regenerating the ammo of your weapon. So like we went up to 32 while we were carrying it. So in between fights, instead of just like dismissing it and then recasting it out, you could carry it. That way it's like ready to go and you just kind of plop it down and you're still regenerating ammo, which is fun because that also triggers the transpose mutator, which when you have it on a weapon, anytime that weapon gains ammo, it's going to give it a damage increase. And so that regeneration from the turret actually counts. So that's a kind of a fun little interaction. It's not like amazing or anything like that, but it's entertaining, right? Oh no, he hit me. There's a dodge that. Maybe I didn't dodge it. Big shield. Oh no. I guess I should mention a couple other trait things that maybe you should think about. Flashcaster is actually one, because it's going to help you get your turret out faster. It increases those skill casts. That way, if you like are suddenly like, I need to put out the turret to do damage, take aggro, or like just do damage while I play defense, Flashcaster will let you get that out faster, so you're not locked in any animations. The next thing would maybe be rugged. It depends on how much your turret's getting hit. If your turret's getting destroyed a lot, put some points in rugged. That way your turret actually has some survivability. It's not getting completely destroyed. Dude, it's freaking back to being hot, dude. I thought the weather had finally like mellowed out a bit. Nah, back in the 90 today. Tomorrow is going to be close to 100. Man. All right, let's fight the Abomination thing. I'll show you what I mean. Actually, let me show you here with it, the Hunter's Shroud, right? So like I mentioned with timing about things earlier, right? So the way it works, in case you don't know for some reason, you become shrouded, reducing enemy awareness, making it harder to hit while you're moving. Attacking using a mod skill will instantly exit the shroud. You're invisible, right? When you exit it, it applies mark to all enemies within 15 meters and grants ambush to the hunter, you, for 2 seconds. That is going to increase your ranged melee damage by 50%, which diminishes over its duration. Ranged and melee attacks apply mark, which is the hunter's mark, right? Automatically exits shroud after... Hunter will automatically shroud again after 1.15 seconds if no offensive actions are performed, right? So when we use it here, boom, there it is. We knock the bow, release, now we're stealthed. So you can see that difference, right? Now, look how, like, we can get perfect shots off, like, kind of as or right before we're, like, actually entering the shroud. The problem with that is when we kind of do it before the shroud actually like recasts on us, it means we don't get the ambush, right? Because we're not exiting shroud, and that's a 50% damage bonus. It's a pretty good amount. It's kind of tricky though, because you don't want to really slow down your attacks a ton to accommodate that, because if you go too slow, you might as well just be shooting more arrows to keep doing more damage. But if you can get the timing just right, where you're not really losing an amount of like attacks per second, then you're getting a 50% damage bonus. So, you know, it's a tricky thing. Doing the math and stuff for all that is a little like not fun to me. But you can see like where that difference would be. The cool thing is though too, in a lot of fights where you're trying to have to actually like dodge and do things, you're not necessarily going to be able to shoot back to back to back to back arrows, because you're going to have to dodge attacks, right? So in those scenarios, getting that 50% damage bonus is great, because if you're only getting one attack out, you want that one singular attack to do a lot more. So let's go ahead and do it. Ooh, I actually meant to switch off the impact cannon. The impact one, again, that one you will never run out of ammo with it out there. Is it better for a single target than the other two? Don't think so. I think the Vulcan would be better, but when this guy summons ads, having the impact cannon will be kind of nice. I'm actually worried the impact cannon is going to break those little bombs on the sides, which will mess up. Let's see, we're gonna switch it, because if he breaks those little bomb things there, that means we're not gonna get the kind of interrupts whenever he's like rolling around. There we go. Let's try and actually do the boar, because I don't ever do that. There we go. See how I kind of slow down just a smidge, and then we're doing 3,500 on everything. Oh, I missed him. There we go. And look how my turret, it's just still going. How much ammo is left? It's down to like a quarter. He's going to start attacking, I think, too. Roll it away. Let's go ahead and just use our relic now. That'll give us a long, it's 20 seconds of shield, and it's a lot. Like, we took that hit, and we're totally okay. Turret should probably be ending here pretty soon. Yeah, there it is. We'll just dodge that. There we go. And see what I mean? Like, we're having to dodge things, so we're getting the shroud bonus every couple of seconds. And then every time we use our relic, it's actually going to extend that duration too, which is nice, because we want that duration. There we go. And look how quickly our turret has recharged. It's already pretty much at max. Part of that was because we used our relic, which is fine. We're actually going to interrupt him here just to keep him on the field. Clean, easy fight. I mean, obviously, it's like, it's a mini boss. It wasn't like a world boss. Just wait until you fight one of those. Ooh, I've never fought one before. Yes, obviously a world boss is going to be a little bit harder. It's going to take more precision on your part, right? Understand I'm playing this on Apocalypse, and a lot of the builds, right? Like, when I'm doing these builds, they're not meant to be the most meta, crazy, this and that, right? I played on Apocalypse so that you can see how it's doing on the hardest difficulty. So even if you're not playing there, which is totally cool, because in a lot of ways, guess what? The game's more fun on the lower difficulties. You can be like, oh yeah, this is going to work just fine where I'm at, because this dude is doing it on Apocalypse, and he's not even doing anything crazy, right? You see my mentality? And so I hope you guys kind of get that, right? And so, like, yeah, it'll work for a world boss, you know? It's the same idea. The ideas are going to stay the same. Keep your turret down there. Take your shots when you can get them. The bow is doing a ton of damage. You're getting a lot of crit and crit damage between right here, right? 40% more range damage, 15% weak spot, 5% crit chance. If you've got this going on, 50% more damage, another 15 or 10% crit chance. The engineer is giving you another 25% more range damage and another 5% crit chance. This has got 7.5 crit chance, 15% crit damage. The supercharger, another 15% crit chance. Our amulet, 10% crit chance, 15% more damage. That's a lot of extra crit chance, and with a bow and perfect shots, it's a ton of freaking damage, dude. Like, you're solid. And so, like, this isn't even really necessary, which is why I was running the tightly wound coil, because honestly, I didn't really need my turret to be doing more damage. Because, I mean, look at that huge chunk of shield. That's so much extra survivability. It's fantastic. I really like it, especially when I'm playing badly. Sometimes I get home from work and I'm just trying to, like, relax while it's 98 degrees outside and have a good time, but I'm getting hit by everybody on every side, and I'm too stupid and stubborn to switch it off Apocalypse. So it is what it is. It's a fun build. High-tech archer. I would give it a go. Easy swap if you don't like using the bow, right? You don't want to use that. Don't use a closed loop. Get rid of it because you're not using charged shots anymore. Use a tightly wound coil, 75% or more of your magazine. That means use a single shot weapon, right? To at least get it consistently running. Anything with a single shot at that point. Put on the crossbow, right? Throw that bad boy on there. Do some other shenanigans with that. Use the Widowmaker. Do more of like that, a high-tech sniper, which is like something that I had been doing at one point in the past, right? And it's just a lot of fun. You know, shield builds are fun. Add a lot of survivability. The ambulants aren't awful. I mean, it's hard, like, in a way, it's sort of frustrating because they kind of don't compete with some of like the really strong, like, DPS ones, like maybe Energized Net Coil or something, right? 20% more status effect damage and explodes for 20% of its full damage. Like, there's a lot of crazy things with like Energized Net Coil. But the thing to consider is with this, you know, it does a crit chance and damage to everything, right? Not just status effect things like that. But its requirement is that you have shields, which is essentially more survivability. Is that a benefit I should lump in with the amulet? No, probably not. But, you know, it's what I'm doing. Thanks for watching, though. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give you some thoughts, ideas on what to do. Gonna be trying to do a few more here in between actually getting some more Elden Ring recordings in. More Naruto themed things, as well as like maybe some, in one of my other videos, just talking about things I hope get buffed with the DLC. If there is some kind of random underused thing and you'd like me to try it out, put it in the comments. I'll mess with it. I'll give it a go. Sure, why not? What am I going to do otherwise, right? Other than work, come home, and sweat. So, yeah, until then, take care.